Many people confuse isolation with abandonment, but the truth is that for the chosen ones, isolation is often the most sacred part of the journey. When God pulls you away from crowds, from familiar environments, from voices that used to validate you, it's not because He's forgotten you, it's because He's preparing you. In this season of being unseen, misjudged, or even dismissed, something greater is happening in the background. Isolation feels like punishment, but it's actually protection. God removes you from the noise so you can hear Him more clearly. He separates you from distractions so He can develop in you what public exposure would only damage too early. Just like a seed must be buried in darkness before it can grow, the chosen ones must endure a season of quiet transformation before they can emerge into their calling. Many people don't understand that divine preparation often looks like you're being overlooked. Friends walk away. Family doesn't understand. Opportunities dry up. Doors shut without reason. But what's really happening is that God is shielding you from premature exposure. You're being refined in the fire, not destroyed by it. You're being shaped in silence, not rejected by life. When others stop calling your name, when the spotlight fades, and when it feels like nobody sees your worth, that's when God is closest. He's pruning, sharpening, and deepening your foundation, because what you're being built for requires strength. Most people won't understand. There are levels of character and clarity that only come in solitude when you're surrounded by others. It's easy to perform, to please, to hide behind applause or approval. But when God isolates you, it strips away all the noise, leaving only raw authenticity. You face your inner wounds. You confront the fears you used to suppress, battle your doubts, and fight through your insecurities, not in public, but in the sacred space of divine preparation. It's in that isolation that identity is forged. It's there that you find out who you really are without the opinions of others. That's where the chosen ones are born, not on stages or social media, but in silence, in surrender, in hidden places where only God is watching. What makes it difficult is that during this time, it seems like others are elevating while you're stagnating. Their success is loud and your process is silent. But you're not being delayed, you're being developed. You're not forgotten, you're being filled. Because what God is placing in you can't be rushed. It can't be manufactured. It can't be faked. It has to be built slowly, deeply, by and purposefully. The very isolation that feels like a setback is actually a setup for the glory that's coming. You don't even know the weight of what you're carrying yet. The spiritual maturity, the emotional strength, the unshakable faith, these are forged in the places nobody applauds. Chosen ones must understand that not everyone is allowed in your process, because not everyone can handle your purpose. God isolates you because elevation requires separation. If you remained surrounded by the same people while trying to grow, their comfort would cripple your calling. You'd start second-guessing your path, minimizing your gifts, and shrinking to stay accepted. That's why He had to remove you. That's why it had to feel lonely. It wasn't rejection. It wasn't punishment. It was heaven's way of reserving you for something sacred. When God begins to move in your life, one of the most powerful signs is how He begins to elevate your name without your effort. For so long, the chosen ones have walked through seasons where their name was ignored, slandered, or forgotten. People spoke about you based on who you used to be, or who they assumed you were. They labeled you according to your past, your failures, your missteps, or even your silence. But what they didn't realize is that God was holding back your name until the right time. He was keeping you hidden until the atmosphere was ready for your arrival. When God decides to make your name known, no human being can stop it. You won't need to force connections, chase approval, or beg for recognition. The same spaces that rejected you will begin to seek you out because God's favor will speak louder than your past ever could. For years, you might have watched others being celebrated while you remained in the shadows. You might have seen less qualified people being chosen while you were passed over, and it hurt deeply. But God was preserving your reputation so that when it was time, your rise would be undeniable. The ones who once discredited your voice will be the same ones quoting your words. The ones who doubted your potential will be the same ones wondering how you got so far, so fast. It won't be because you manipulated your way to the top or played the political games of the world. It will be because your name has been touched by God. Divine favor changes the conversation. It shifts the way people perceive you. It transforms. Tow your story into something that carries supernatural weight. Your name is about to be whispered in rooms you've never stepped into. Opportunities are being aligned that you didn't apply for. People are being assigned to speak well of you when you're not in the room. And it's not by your power, it's by divine orchestration. God is restoring the years that you were dismissed. He's turning your scars into credibility. He's allowing the very people who once mocked you to be the ones who announce your next level. Not for the sake of revenge, but for the glory of transformation. Your reputation is being renewed because your character has been refined. You didn't fold when it got hard. You didn't retaliate when you were hurt. You didn't quit when it felt pointless. And because of that, your name carries integrity. It carries weight. It carries destiny. There are some seasons when your name needs to be quiet so your heart can be healed. God didn't allow your name to spread earlier because it would have fed your ego or exposed your wounds. But now that you've been through the fire, now that you've been humbled and made whole, He can trust you with visibility. He can trust that when your name is lifted, you'll point back to Him. This is not just about recognition. It's about redemption. It's about rewriting the false narratives that others attach to your life. It's about reintroducing you not as the person they thought you were, but as the person you truly are. When God changes your name, He also changes the meaning behind it. The same name that once brought shame will now be attached to influence, to purpose. To honor. You said. Keynote no. 3. Expand it into 550 words. Don't add ending sentences. Don't add any headings. ChatGPT said. There are moments in life when everything appears the same on the outside. But in the unseen realm, everything has shifted. The chosen ones often walk through long seasons where nothing seems to be changing, where prayers feel unanswered, and where efforts go unnoticed. But when God decides to move, it doesn't take years, it can happen in a moment. The reputation others thought they had figured out about you will suddenly no longer match what God is revealing through you. The same mouths that used to define you by your past will be silenced by the magnitude of what God does in your present. When He decides to elevate you, it doesn't require validation, announcements, or explanation. It only requires divine timing. The overnight shift is not just about blessings showing up. It's about hidden favor becoming visible, undeniable, and unstoppable. People have watched your struggle, but they haven't seen your prayers. They've judged your silence, but they haven't known the depth of your conversations with God. They've assumed your quietness was weakness, but God knew it was strength under pressure, while others were chasing clout and competing for attention. You were being prepared in the background. Now that the shift is near, God is bringing to the surface what He has been building in secret. Your name is about to be mentioned with honor, not pity. Your presence is about to carry authority, not apology. The respect that was once withheld from you is about to be released in full measure, not because of who you know, but because of who knows you. This shift won't make sense to the people who watched you from a distance. They'll wonder how you went from overlooked to honored so quickly. They'll question why the door opened for you and not for them. But what they don't understand is that God is not bound by human timelines or opinions. He exalts in due season, and that season is arriving. What was done in darkness is being rewarded in light. What was cultivated in faith is being revealed. Be in favor. And what was once misunderstood is now going to be undeniable. The shift in your reputation is not just about people seeing you differently. It's about heaven affirming what has always been true about you. There are blessings that will come suddenly, not to impress the world, but to reveal the truth. People will see your name attached to things they never expected. Your voice will be invited into places it was once excluded from. Your past will not be erased, but it will be overshadowed by the glory God places on your present. This shift will leave some speechless, not because you've changed who you are, but because God has changed the narrative. And in that divine rewriting, everything they thought they knew about you becomes irrelevant. Your story becomes a testimony. Your name becomes evidence. Your presence becomes a reminder that God still chooses the rejected, still raises the humble, still honors those who remained faithful when no one was watching. You are not being promoted by people. You are being revealed by purpose. And once the shift begins, there will be no way to stop what God has already set in motions. So if you've been feeling hidden, misunderstood, or forgotten, know this.